No, that's us.
Oh no! What is gonna happen? This is a nowhere episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the flagship and premier podcast of LRMonline.com.
And international, but not today.
Usually international podcast. We usually have representatives from the land of Germany as well as the land of Dubai. That's
yes,
it's a city. UAE, I believe that is. God, I'm not cultured. I need to work on that. But sadly, due to several circumstances, one having to do with work and one having to do with internet issues, we are a duo. We're a duo. A duo. Oh God, an American Tale.
And fuck you.
But yeah, so
this episode will be off the rails.
We're basically gonna never be on the rails. We're no longer a train. We're now just an off-road vehicle, and it's starting with my cat, who is just being the most obnoxious little prick of all time. What can I do for you, dude?
My cat was just here too.
But it will be a good episode regardless. We got all sorts of little news pieces to talk about. We have a trailer. We have a post-mortem of the Snyder cut to get into. So, I mean, I know you love talking about this shit, Nick. Like you love everything Zack Snyder. You love the fact that the Snyderverse is people are pushing to get it redone. And so that's obviously sarcasm if you're listening. He does not like it. I really like the Snyderverse. I really loved Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I think restore the Snyderverse, but not in a way where I'm like, I want the other stuff to go away, but more in the sense that I'm okay and comfortable with there being multiple universes going on simultaneously. I'm okay with that. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are like one or the other, restore the Snyderverse or fuck the Snyderverse, one or the other. Like it's really interesting. And then I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they should have Flashpoint. That way they can justify this. I'm like, no, who cares? Just let's just make the movies we want. Let the directors have a vision and let the studio not get cold feet at the very end and destroy it. I said something to Jonesy or on our chat recently having to do with Warner Brothers' problem, and their main problem had to do with the fact that they pride themselves as a director focused studio. You may recall, like in the early 2010s. That was sort of their thing. Like, oh yeah, we're director focused. That's what we are. We're all about the filmmaker. And this was almost a complete contrast to what, Marvel Studios was doing. And it was just, they're very director focused. So they go into a director's vision, but then get cold feet at the last second. And thereby you get Batman v Superman, a movie that should have been 30 minutes longer. You get
cold feet at the last second.
You get
they gave an entire movie before they cut up Batman v Superman.
Well, they let him shoot the whole thing.
They released an extended cut of Man of Steel, or Snyder needed to, so that means they let him do that.
No. They didn't release an extended cut of Man of Steel. They released an extended cut.
They didn't have to because they didn't fuck with his vision that time.
Well, the problem is if they really wanted, they need to commit to one or the other. They need to, when they're at a project, when they have a project, they need to say, we're going to go director focus for this one, or we're going to go studio focus for this one. They need to make a decision up front and be on the same page, because otherwise you get the situation where they're like, oh yeah, we'll do Batman v Superman. Oh, you know what? Can we just cut out 30 minutes of this movie that you shot and we agreed on? Or with Zack Snyder, with Justice League, they'd be like, oh, can we just bring in a whole new director, reshoot half of it and truncate it down to 2 hours instead of 4 or 3?
I've already explained why they do that.
Why?
Not just because no one's going to release
I know, not 4 hours.
Theater's going to be like, no.
I'm aware, but 3 hours. 3 hours they could do. They could even
have to earn 3 hours.
It's a Justice League movie.
No, it was a Batman v Superman movie. That was supposed to be 3 hours too.
Oh, they should have had that be 3 hours. They need to fucking deal with it. They should have, like I said, they should have been on the same page from day one is what I'm saying. They can't come in and go oh, your studio's not going to release it. It's like, well, yeah, read the fucking script and say, this needs to be reworked because it's too damn long.
So more, no, but see, here's the thing. You want some studio, or at least friends, having input. Otherwise, you end up with a George Lucas. But especially in this case, because
They need to do that before
a very
it's
good
too
note.
late. Before it's too late.
Yeah. It's because they gave Justice League a great note, which is no, don't have Lois and Bruce Wayne fall in love with each other. That makes the Snyder Cut even better because that moment is not in it. Because I did watch the Snyder Cut again. And I liked it better the second time. Not enough to change my letter grade, but I was having fun for all of it. Though, if I do ever watch it a third time, it would not be the Justice is Gray cut. It would be the cut we were given last week. But yeah, I rewatched it with my friends. It was fun. In the future, in fact, I don't think I would ever rewatch the whole film again. I think I would go to my favorite. I take it back again. I would watch it in chapters. Like I would treat it like a TV show next time and do like one a day. But I don't think I'll ever watch the black and white version.
I'm definitely watching the black and white version.
Surprised you haven't already. Oh, you have work. That's right.
Yeah, I work 10 hours a day or more, Nick. So yeah, like I've watched parts of it and it looks gorgeous, and I have feel like the need to sort of defend it. I mentioned this before. It looks like it was shot for black and white because of just how high contrasty it is and stuff. It looks freaking gorgeous. Like this, it looks so good. It looks so good. And I usually don't like black and white stuff. Like when people are saying like release Mad Max Fury Road black and white, I'm like, you're losing so much with that. Whereas with Justice League, I almost feel like you're not losing that much. Because I guess the colors were already kind of muted already. Not that they didn't utilize color, but yeah, he just shoots it in a way that it feels like it was kind of meant for that style. But anyways, I digress. Like I digressed before. I was off the rails before I even got to the story. It has to do with release the Ayer cut, which Warner Brothers, they have basically gone on the record and said, nope, that's it. Snyder Cut's done. There's no Ayer cut. There's no more Snyderverse. That was something that we were happy to sort of let him finish, but no more. Nick, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you to hear this news?
10.
Really?
And I actually have a reasoning behind it of why, because you have the whole well, why not release it?
Yeah.
Here's why not. I'd rather. We'll talk about it in a second. Suicide Squad's a very special case because of the trailer that dropped today. Like you can't have competing Suicide Squads.
That's fair.
Like if I was James Gunn, I'd be fucking furious if the same year or even the year after they're like, and here's the other Suicide Squad fixed. But my philosophy is, why dump more money into something bad when you could make something fresh and new with the same money?
But you don't know it's bad. You're assuming already.
Yeah, because most Snyder Cut's a rare gem that actually worked out. You
have no information. You're just basing this on the fact that, oh, well.
You're just assuming everything really good. Also, you have no information.
I'm not assuming it. I'm just saying you basically say it's going to be bad. Why waste money on a bad thing? Like, you don't know if it's a bad thing. And I'm saying
it's a bad reputation. Why not make like they've done right now? They've made the Suicide Squad, and they're like, we'll keep the actors that worked, and then we'll make a version that people actually want to see based on the trailer.
Here, let me clarify.
Like, this is nothing like the old shit.
Let me clarify. I understand why Warner Brothers wouldn't. I'm talking about me as a consumer. I've got fuck all to lose. I'm not losing anything.
Yeah, as a consumer, there's no reason not to. But
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Things work. That's
what I'm talking about, Nick. I'm just talking about you as a consumer. You lose nothing.
Well, that's the thing. I potentially lose other movies.
You don't lose anything. You don't lose anything.
The money doesn't appear out of nowhere. And that's gonna
I know it doesn't
finish the special effects on a movie no one wants to see except so it's not Snyder. It's just the Snyder fans. Even I Coots hated Justice League more than anyone I know. I did the bonus episode this week with him on Justice League, and he was trying to be diplomatic about it. He's like, now in case he's like, you can cut this out in case it's too problematic, but it's like, you've been comparing Snyder trolls to Trump fans. And I'm like, yeah, I have been, because they won't go the fuck away. Even when they get what they want, they won't go away. And they're just toxic. Even Zack Snyder called them out on it. And then they were like, fuck Zack Snyder.
For me, me watching the entire Zack Snyder cut is me going like, yeah, does that seem necessary? No, but why not?
It was good.
Yeah. It does. It's good. It's like, why not? I feel like freaking Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's like, today the day, why not? And he smokes the acid covered cigarette. That's me basically consuming anything with Zack Snyder at this point, because I'm like, does it add to anything? Not really, but I kind of enjoy it. So why not? Jonesy, I know you're kind of here incognito. We mentioned you weren't going to be on the episode, potentially due to internet issues. However, since you are here, I have to get your thoughts on the studio closing the door on both the Ayer cut and the Snyderverse. So what are your thoughts on this, Jonesy? What do you have to say?
So I think I'm more in Jammer's camp. Like, I don't think that we as consumers lose anything by them making more stuff. From a studio perspective, I completely understand why they wouldn't want to. Justice League is a special case in the sense that there isn't another Justice League film on the horizon. And so the studio gets to pump up their HBO Max numbers. They get to have this sort of new-ish shiny thing to tide people over until they figure out exactly what they want to do with that. Nick already brought it up. We're going to be talking about the Suicide Squad trailer. And there's no reason for them to do that with this property. They already have a new shiny thing coming out from a better director than David Ayer. Sorry. Like, if I were Anne, what's Anne's last name? I can't think of her last name. Sorry.
Sarnoff?
There you go. Anne Sarnoff. If I was Anne Sarnoff, that would have been a response to David Ayer's Why. So I don't know if you mentioned that when you were teeing up the story, but he responded to that Vanity Fair quote as just one word, why. And my response would have been like, James Gunn is a better director. It's probably going to be a better movie than yours.
I mean, a more diplomatic way would have been just to say, we have a new Suicide Squad movie coming out. And
yeah,
there's
we're
no
already moving forward with that property.
Confusion. Well, it's not even that. It's just you don't want to lead to brand confusion. As Nick basically said, no, you don't want brand confusion at this point. It's already confusing enough as it is. Not just brand confusion.
I don't think you want to remind the mainstream audiences of the first Suicide Squad, because they'd be less likely to go to the new one. They wouldn't even watch the trailer and be like, oh, fucking Suicide Squad again?
I don't know
no, thank you.
That I think Warner Brothers / DC has a good argument for brand confusion, because we potentially have Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Robert Pattinson as all Batmans. We've got Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad, and then the Harley Quinn cartoon. And like, they just have multiple versions. And then we've got the Joker movie, and Jared Leto is Joker. So like, DC / Warner Brothers isn't really concerned about brand confusion. That's just not their bag.
But I think this is less brand confusion and more like, how do you, like the Suicide Squad, the name has a stench to it to most people. It's more of that, where it's like, oh, remember last time they did that? And it's one of the worst superhero movies that was ever made. Like, and I do feel though that, I mean, I guess we'll get to the trailer. Maybe we kind of already are organically, that the Harley Quinn we see in the Suicide Squad trailer is identical to the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn. Like, they figured her out. She's fantastic. Whereas, I don't know, I feel like Ayer treated her, I don't know, again, like I know you guys hated why I brought this up last week. He's part of the frat boy club of filmmakers.
What are you talking about?
Where he's like, let's make her a sexual idol the entire time. Let's put her in a t-shirt. Let's make sure it's wet half the movie. She's hopelessly in love with the Joker, which is classic comics, but it hasn't been for like decades in the comics.
Well, okay, not decades, probably a decade, if that.
Since New 52, so actually exactly 10 years.
Since like 2012, almost. I think 2012 was New 52, right?
No, 2011.
2011? Okay. So
September. So, I don't know, it's just...
Yeah, but when have movies ever kept up with the comic books? They never do.
True.
They're always 10 or more years behind.
Well, yeah.
Like we can't even get past Dick Grayson as Robin in the movies.
It's true.
Like, it's been Dick Grayson every time. How many Robins have there been, right?
In the movies? One.
That's his point.
In the comic books. My point is, every time they make one of these movies, they can't get past like that, those first couple of years of these people as being heroes to even get to what you're talking about.
Which is why when people say you can't deconstruct a universe before you construct one, I'm like, no, you can. That's why I didn't mind Batman v Superman. Well, because people say Batman v Superman. He's trying. Well, everyone complained like, oh, you can't deconstruct a universe with Batman v Superman because we don't know those characters yet. I'm like, yeah, you fucking do. You know Batman. You know Superman. Yeah. He's allowed to deconstruct it however he wants. Get the fuck out of here with that.
I agree with you because we've had different versions. Yeah, if this is their first time on the big screen, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, Snyder?
I agree. But
I don't know. I've disagreed with you on this before, but I agree with you now. It's nice that he did his own thing to an extent.
Yeah.
Where like he had it was the big fantasy almost, as you said, like epic, like Star Wars type plotting he had with like his little like five movies total, right? It was his original plan, 3 Justice Leagues, Batman v Superman, and Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And then they were supposed to have someone posted the original calendar of movies. It was like in a different multiverse or whatever, on a different Earth. And you're looking at it, you're like, yep, Flash was already supposed to come out. Cyborg was already supposed to come out.
If only. And the Batman was supposed to be
Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Speaking of, that's off topic.
but other news related to this, I think, is interesting. Has to do with Green Lantern. As you know, he's been keen to sort of add Green Lantern into the mix for a while. We got tastes of it in Justice League, in the I was about to say opening, but not opening anymore, in the flashback sequence. And he had always mentioned his intention to bring in Jon Stewart. Now, I hadn't realized this, but at Esquire magazine, he said the scene with Martian Manhunter originally, the one where he's introduced to Batman, not the one with Lois, but the one where he's introduced to Batman, was supposed to be Green Lantern.
Light Batman. Skinny Batman.
Right. Skinny Batman. He said that the studio told him he wasn't supposed to shoot anything and that there would be no film of any kind during production. That was the thing they insisted on. And I shot off anyway, of course, in my backyard. And one of the things I shot was the Green Lantern scene, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know they actually shot something. I thought maybe he just planned around it. And he actually said he worked with an amazing actor playing Jon Stewart, who he did not reveal the name of. So I'm curious. I'm sure in about 2 years we'll know exactly who it was.
No,
they've said since then who it was. I thought.
Who was it?
I don't remember the name. Well, but it was in one of the news articles yesterday.
Really?
I'll look it up while you talk.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I'll look while you guys talk.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it's not
he said, and then
it's not a name I recognized.
And then they asked me when they saw the movie and saw that I put it in there, they'd take it out. And I said that I would quit if they tried to take it out. And I felt bad. The truth is I didn't want the fans to not have a movie just based on that one stand that I was going to take. And then he said the Green Lantern was Jon Stewart, and that was part of it too. I was like, I don't want to take a person of color out of this movie. I'm not going to do it. But I felt like having Harry Lennox's Martian Manhunter at the end was okay.
Sorry.
So
I was laughing. I was laughing because I know it's like Joss Whedon. I ain't got no problem with that. Cut out all the black people I want.
I'll quit. Just the person to finish your Snyder cut.
Anyway,
Cyborg cut. Martian Manhunter cut. Iris West.
Ryan Choi.
My name is Joss Whedon, bitch. Cut them all out.
So Nick, how do you feel about Green Lantern not being in this movie because of this whole thing with the studio?
I wish Warner Bros. Hadn't freaked out in the first place, and he should have been one of the 7 throughout the entire film. It's weird to make a Justice League movie without a Green Lantern. It's really, really weird.
Yeah.
But no, I think they're right.
There was one. He got killed.
What? Yeah, but
there was one. He got killed.
Yeah, he was never going to join the Justice League. There has to be a human Green Lantern. Otherwise, he's going to be doing his sector stuff.
Who is it?
It's Trevante. What is his last name? I can't think of his last name, but he's from Moonlight. Oh, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Rhodes. Trevante Rhodes.
I wanted to say Rhodes, but I'm like, no, I'm thinking of James Rhodes.
Yeah, that's funny.
No, I don't.
If you ever saw that.
So you're telling me it wasn't.
What's his face from Too Fast, Too Furious?
Yeah. So what's his face? What the fuck's his name?
Tyrese?
Yeah.
Tyrese.
He's wanted to play him.
Tyrese Gibson.
Well, since the Snyderverse is its own thing, I guess why not give him Green Lantern? But then
Because he's a bad actor.
No. I'm talking about
No.
Zack Snyder.
He means Zack Snyder, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But then that would rule out that actor from getting that role in a different film or TV show like Green Lantern.
I mean, not necessarily. He could still do it later and then not worry about continuity.
But then they'd be concerned about brand confusion.
No, but
so is this the Snyderverse or not?
Well, it doesn't bother me that much that they cut it because it's like the same reason Marvel wouldn't let Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. use sword. It's like we have plans for that. Like you can't burn through all of our mythology. Thing. Like we have obviously they have plans for Jon Stewart.
Yeah,
but the difference is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be somewhat connected to the MCU, whereas this...
It was, at least at the time.
Right.
Remember, all of this is connected.
And so that's what I was saying. Starting off is saying like this is its own pocket universe. And so from that perspective, there shouldn't have been a reason not to let them do this.
But at the same time, like Zack Snyder overall is like, okay, fair enough. Like you want to do your own thing. I guess all Martian Manhunter will have to do. And I didn't mind Martian Manhunter.
It would have seemed weird to me. Like I liked it as a bookend. To have Martian Manhunter in the middle of the movie and then at the end, it would have been strange to me if Martian Manhunter kind of fucked off when we never saw him again, and then Green Lantern shows up at the end. I'd be like, that's interesting.
That's true.
It would have been weird. So where the fuck were you, Lantern?
Right. Narratively, this made more sense.
And then also, what's his name said there were no lanterns. Steppenwolf said there were no lanterns. So like, where you been hiding, brah?
Especially if you're
that just lets you know he's bad at his job. That's why he got, fired.
He's not Hal Jordan, though. He's Jon Stewart. He's good at his job.
No. Steppenwolf.
Oh.
Steppenwolf bad at his job finding.
He found the anti-life equation. Come on. Darkseid lost that planet.
So I'm curious, is this a plot hole? I saw this meme and I really loved it. It was Thanos talking to Darkseid. He's like, let me see if I get this straight. They whooped your ass so bad that you forgot where the planet was? And he's like, what
that was interesting.
I thought of that too. I think it fits because it was like thousands of years ago or whatever. He wasn't the same. Didn't they say he's not the boss yet in that fight scene?
So that would explain why he got beat. My question, I feel like if you got beat, you remember where the fuck that was.
I remember that.
Yeah, that seems strange to me and interesting. I'm curious why that.
I don't think so because interdimensional travel is complicated, and it's easy, especially if you get your ass beat. You're like, I don't remember where it was, or maybe maybe they put it another way. They had bad record keepers, man. They had bad bookkeeping.
I see. So you're saying that the Stargate just wasn't functioning right, and so after you got beat, you went and took that glyph off the Stargate, and we're like, we're never fucking going back here.
Yeah, pretty much. And then they're like, where are we? And then thousands of years passed and they're like, I forgot.
I'm willing to bet that would have been a thing that would have been explained in another movie. Because that seems like a very strange thing. And I'm willing to bet with another movie, they would have found a way to tie that up.
Probably.
It was a superhero movie, so I let it go. But
yeah.
I thought the first time I was watching it, I'm like, wait, he lost a planet? I mean, I guess there are a lot of planets.
It's like, where is it? Oh.
It's the one where you get your
planet at. It's like that Zac Efron meme. It's like, where the planet at? And she's going, He's like shrugging.
I don't think I've seen that either.
No.
That reminds me. They basically had one where they put Hayden Christensen's head on his face and they go like, where the younglings at? And he's just like shrugging. I don't know.
I like that one.
Any last words about Zack Snyder's Snyderverse or anything? All of the above, the entire umbrella, before we move on to the tangential, potentially most exciting piece of news for the day.
Wait, as related to the last thing I would say is I think it's kind of interesting that Billy Crudup is out now.
Oh yeah, I don't like that.
Placed by Ron Livingston.
Because he didn't want to, right?
Sounds like Billy Crudup has a case of the Mondays.
I don't know. Snyder fans are. I got it. Snyder fans are. They'll obviously notice, and they're the ones who watch the movie. But I think if this was a wide release and everyone watched the movie, and then like a year later, The Flash comes out and it's a different actor, most people would never notice the difference between those two actors.
I feel like that's not true at all.
The average moviegoer, my mom's gonna notice that they recast his dad's role.
Your mom's not
saw this movie this year, then went to Flash next year. No, she wouldn't. Neither would my sister or my dad.
So she doesn't count.
People.
So it's not for her.
My entire family doesn't count.
No, they don't count if like the audience that you're talking about is saying they won't notice. Well, they're not going to see the movie, so yeah, of course they won't notice. We need the people who are going to see both. My parents are seeing
The Flash.
Oh, okay.
I'm taking them to The Flash.
Okay, I thought you said they weren't going to see it.
I just spared them Justice League and Suicide Squad after I made them watch Batman v Superman.
Okay, that's fair. But like,
I'm actually sorry. Go
ahead. But I'm kind of bummed. I like Billy Crudup a lot in it. And as that role, like he was there for like what 2 minutes of the movie, but
he was really good.
He was really good, like very. I
agree with you guys on that. Like he was excellent. I just don't think most people will notice.
It's true. Yeah. But yeah, interesting replacement. Ron Livingston, as most people know from Office Space. That is interesting.
So here's the thing, Jammer. You're actually going to be happy for the reason why.
Okay. I know the reason. Go ahead.
It was a scheduling conflict with the morning show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually really excited about that.
I'm bummed, but I think that he picked the right role because he's fucking awesome in Morning Show. Did you watch Morning Show? He was
on Morning Show. I might start watching it. I'm a big
Billy
Crudup fan. He's even good in Mission Impossible 3, and he's not in it super long.
He is the best part of Morning Show. We're like, oh my God, this guy is just like, he's like the Joker in it, in that I just want to be entertained. I want to see things go crazy. And then it's just really interesting how just his allegiances sort of shift. And I'm not sure he's a good guy at this point, but he kind of is. And I'm like, I like you, but I know you're kind of a piece of shit. So I'm not sure what to think.
So tell me if you got this vibe. I was like, what if Matthew McConaughey, news producer? Like, I don't know, for whatever reason, like that's the vibe that I got off of him. He's just like, all right. Just kind of very chill.
I did not think of him at all. No, I mean, I could see it a little bit, but I don't think so.
I don't know. Something about Wolf of Wall Street got stuck in my head as I'm watching him do this thing.
I don't think he started pounding his chest, whatever that freaking, whatever hell it was. I watched that movie once. I liked it, but it was too long. But yeah, I'm bummed. I think it was ultimately a good call. I wish he could have done both, but as you mentioned, he was a small part, and hopefully Ron Livingston can make the role his own and give me the same feels that Billy Crudup did in that 2-minute scene.
Let me tell you, he won't. But you keep hope alive. You keep hope alive.
Yeah, I'll light a candle. I got my Catholic Virgin Mary candle here, so I'll go ahead and keep it alive.
Very good for radio.
But for the radio, I showed an image.
Wait, was that your Danny?
Virgin Mary candle?
Just any accent I could do. It wasn't specifically Danny.
Anyway, let's move on to the next story of the day. Still DC related. It was teased yesterday on Thursday that they would drop a trailer on Friday for none other than The Suicide Squad, directed and written by James Gunn, who is very famous for his Guardians of the Galaxy films, and as well as his stint in horror prior to that. And it looks real good. I will have to say, it looks really fun. It has a lot of fun characters. It has a lot of his typical bantery dialogue that we can expect from James Gunn based on his Guardians of the Galaxy films. And I'm pretty excited. Like, it just looks like a fun, rollicking good time in the theaters. Have a couple of beers, try to hide it while in theaters. Well, whenever the time you're opening up a can with the explosion, I think you'll be okay. You'll be safe. They won't kick you out. It sounds like that kind of movie.
Or you could go to Alamo Draft House and like pay triple for the beer, but it's
true.
It's on tap.
Jonesy, what were your first thoughts upon the trailer and its overall style difference from the original film?
I am cynical, mostly because I've been fooled by quick cuts and a good song before, specifically by this franchise. So the thing that gives me faith is James Gunn, and this looks tonally very different. It seems to lean more into the comedy aspects of the Suicide Squad than the bang bang shoot 'em up, although there is plenty of that in this trailer. I really, really, really dug it. I'm hoping that James Gunn is able to bring this franchise to Guardians of the Galaxy level. The same, that's what I'm hoping.
You know, it's funny. I almost get I get three directors come to mind when I see this movie trailer. Martin McDonagh. I don't know how to say this name. McDonagh. That's it.
Who is that?
He did In Bruges.
Okay. So you told me. I love In Bruges. I know who he is now.
Yeah. So him, Martin McDonagh. We have what the fuck's his name? Guy Ritchie.
What movie?
And
yeah.
And the third one. Oh my God, who was the third movie?
You were gonna say Edgar Wright.
No, I wasn't.
That's someone I thought of when you were listing three people.
No, who the hell was it? There's him. There's
What was
Martin
the movie?
McDonagh. There's I don't remember. I'll have to get back to you on that.
That's
but
2, not 3, Jammer.
I'm aware. But in the meantime, Nick, why don't you go ahead and let me know your overall thoughts for the Suicide Squad trailer?
I only watched it once, but
Okay.
after this, I'll watch it 10 times. It's not an insult, but I could get so much out of it with multiple viewings because that trailer is excellent. I dug the entire thing. Yes, we have like an 80s song, but that feels right for a trailer for a James Gunn film and not like a cop-out because that's his shtick, like in a good way. It felt like Guardians enough, but then again, it's able to go a lot farther because he's given a lot of characters he can kill, and like I think we'll see Roker. Sounds like he's the Slipknot of this movie already. Just seeing one trailer, I'm like, oh. But it looks great, and he's able to do his R-rated version too, where you see people getting ripped in half and there's blood and the Harley Quinn opening scene is fantastic. I think.
Yeah, I loved what's his name called, like, it was a good plan. We were gonna save you. Now we don't get to do
still
the
do
plan.
it.
Like,
yeah.
it's
like
funny. He's like that's patronizing. Like Idris Elba as he's climbing back down.
Yeah. Like that. Like I said earlier, that it seems like this is a sequel to Birds of Prey more than it's a sequel to Suicide Squad. Though obviously, I guess it's not a sequel to either.
I mean, who cares?
I know, but that's why I liked about it is I'm like, this feels like an even bigger version of Birds of Prey. And I love Birds of Prey. So I am it's Birds of Prey plus Guardians of the Galaxy. It was really interesting, though, to me that they were able to just say from James Gunn without being director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was waiting for them to go like, say, the director of that movie we won't mention. I was expecting them to say something like that.
We're not gonna advertise our competitor's movie.
Right. That would have been funny.
Well, it's not really advertising. It's for people who don't know who he is yet.
Yeah.
And they're like, you remember, like for people like if my parents saw that at theaters, again, bringing it back to my parents, they're older, but they do watch all of these movies.
Let that stand.
They
fanboys wouldn't let that
get
stand.
What?
If you said Guardians of the Galaxy for a DC movie, I think people would be pissed. Like it would start some sort of flame war.
They can fuck themselves.
It's just how you sell a movie. You say what his previous movies are. Like Judd Apatow, director of like.
But you're not gonna say director of Slither, or you can't say they
wouldn't get it. Super Slither. Movies you haven't seen.
I don't think that they would. If I were the studio, I wouldn't. So I get why they didn't.
Yeah, I get why they didn't too. But also, fanboys, if it did happen, they can fuck themselves if they freak out about it.
I kind of get what you mean, but I don't. Given where we are with the Snyder Cut, I don't know if you want to poke the bear.
The bear can go fuck himself.
Which I feel this trailer has already. What are your thoughts on it, Jammer? Then we'll get to my theory.
Oh, I thought this movie looked really fun. I'm really excited for it. This is probably the most excited for a movie I've been since Zack Snyder's Justice League, which obviously just happened. But I mean, as far as since the trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was like 6 months ago. So it's easily the one that I've been most excited for. I love the banter back and forth. I love sort of the irreverence, as I mentioned before. It reminds me kind of Martin McDonagh with sort of his style. And obviously James Gunn, his previous movies. I love the sort of twist he did on you do this, you die, you do this, you die. And then you have Harley Quinn kind of butting in and saying, you have a personalized license plate, you die. You cough without covering your mouth, you die. And he's like, no, but don't see that as an
Don't do
invitation
that.
to coffee.
Yeah.
Don't do that. And it was just like, I love
Fucking
it.
I think
King
that was my
Shark,
favorite.
dude.
I actually think that was my favorite part of it. The fact that he had to say like he agreed with her, but also like that's not what we're saying. Like,
Yeah.
he couldn't go either way. So it was really funny.
So I like
What a
that.
good unintentional COVID joke too.
Yeah, right. It's like that
Don't
aged
cough
well.
on me.
Did that age well? Question mark.
Yes,
I
it
think
did.
it'll be funnier because of it for some of us.
But yeah, like so that was good. I like the variety of weird characters that we have in shitty costumes. It's great, and knowing that probably most of them are not going to live makes it even better. And
Was it Polka Dot Man in the trailer who says he wants to die?
It was,
Like,
yeah.
what-
He's like, God, I hope so.
So you know he's gonna live.
I know that's what I was
Probably.
thinking too. I'm like, he has to live.
That
Like I can
actor's
imagine the
all
entire time.
over DC and Marvel.
I'm imagining him trying to kill himself constantly, but failing. That would be so funny. And then you have that sounds dark, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The funniest part for me, what was the funniest part? What was it? What did you think of that bag of dicks line? That was okay.
That was weird.
See, like, it wasn't
I just
a
don't
bag
think
of
John
dicks.
Cena. So here's my thing. I've never
dicks.
dug John Cena as an actor. And so
Okay.
like having him do comedy stuff, like he has never done it for me. Even when he was wrestling, I'm like, this is okay, I guess.
Wrestling.
I never understood why people loved him that much. And I still don't get why he gets put in a bunch of movies now. Like if I look at Dave Bautista, I 100% understand his crossover appeal. Like as a wrestler, as an actor, he is, 2-3 times better than John Cena. So
I will say
Had a roughy
this.
start at the beginning too, though.
I think John
No,
Cena.
he didn't.
I think John Cena probably would be better if he wasn't super buff, because I think he has a very interesting and dry sense of humor that almost is at odds with his physique. He's like too smart for his physique.
So I think
Does that
makes
make
him
sense?
funnier, honestly.
It's just weird. It's weird to me. But
And
anyways,
I'm
what I was
not
gonna say.
super in love with him, Jonesy. I'm not part of that crowd either. Like I haven't
Yeah,
even
me
seen
neither.
Blockers or anything, but I'm excited for him in this.
I thought he was funny
I'll
in
watch an
Blockers.
HBO show about him.
But anyways, my funniest part for me is when he's like, "We got a kaiju up in this shit." Like I think that guy's gonna steal the show.
Oh, that's Steve Agree or Steve G or whatever.
I don't know who that
the
is.
actor's name is. He was like on the Sarah Silverman show. And like he's been a lot. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's one of
One of the henchmen.
yeah, one of the henchmen of the Ravengers.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited for what this movie is, and I can't wait to watch it on HBO Max and maybe theaters.
Maybe in theaters. Oh,
Maybe in
I'll say
theaters.
one funny thing that jumped out to me, like without saying anything, Amanda Waller's just fatigue Viola Davis's when Harley Quinn showed up and she was like, God damn it. Just like, you could just tell, like, it's funny because in the comic books, like she puts these folks to their ringers and she doesn't really seem bothered. But in this, she's like, I can't wait to fucking retire. Like, I'm just tired of these assholes. So I'm really curious what her relationship is with them in this one.
How do you feel about their upgrading tech? Their tech is now upgraded and they no longer have collars and just have this thing actually inputted into the back of their heads.
I
Oh,
prefer it.
Do you guys?
yeah, I liked it.
What's
I
that?
actually did remember they had collars in the first one. I thought it was the same deal. But yeah.
I think they had collars.
They did.
No, they did? Okay.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Okay. Well,
What's that thing Joker injected someone with when he was trying to rescue Harley? I thought that was the thing they got injected with.
you already know more about that movie than I do because I don't remember what the fuck you're talking about.
I've
with
seen
that.
it more times than you actually, I bet.
You have? Oh,
Probably.
I've watched it once and a half.
And yet you want a better cut. I've seen it 10 times and I don't want a different cut.
Yeah, that's why. Is because you put yourself through that misery and you're like, oh, I don't want to do it
Wait,
again.
you're,
I'm like,
you're
I've done it
deriding
once.
him because he wants a better version?
Me? Because
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm past. I do want to bring up. I haven't actually been on Twitter yet today.
You know what's the equivalent of? It's the equivalent of you saying like, oh, I had a McDonald's burger. I didn't like it. So I'm not going to bother having a gourmet burger.
But you don't know if it's going to be gourmet.
But
It could just
Jammer,
be
you're going to
worse.
try burgers
It could
again?
be White Castle.
It could be. But, you know, you might be great. Might be White Castle. It might be Red Robin. It might be, I don't know, Michelin star winning restaurant. You don't even know. Could be one of those. It's
Well,
part of
yeah,
the
if
thrill.
someone was redirecting the Iyer cut, like Spielberg, then I know I'm going to a Michelin star restaurant.
The Ayer cut. That's what we should call him from now on. David Ayer.
So Jonesy, since it seems like we kind of have you here, can you introduce the next news story? I actually have to go let my dog in.
Wait. I have
Who let the
dogs in?
Yeah, which story do you guys want to do next?
I want to give my theory first. So, the Snyder Cut people are already pissed online about this trailer because they're like, this isn't canon. You know, they're doing that whole thing. It's like Snyderverse is canon. So I have a theory that...
How isn't it, though?
It's just the Snyderverse people freaking out and being like, why did you release this a week within like the version we wanted? Like, we want the Ayer cut. We don't want this. You know, it's like caused a divide because, you know, most people do want this version. And I think this has been Marvel's plan the whole time. They put Joss Whedon in Justice League so that he'd fuck it up. And then the fans would get pissed and they'd demand the Snyder cut. And then Warner Brothers would give them the Snyder cut. At the same time, Marvel pretended to fire James Gunn, who they sent over to DC to make a different Suicide Squad. And now the fans are eating each other over it. And that's Marvel's plan from the beginning. That's the theory.
Okay. All right. It's an interesting theory. I'm gonna disagree.
It was also part of Marvel's plan. They're like, hey Joss, can you be really verbally abusive and sexist on set, please?
No, they were just like, now that you're not on a Marvel set, act how you normally act.
Yeah. So the next story, and I didn't know if this is the one that you were referring to, Jammer. Is it the fact that Keaton has not been confirmed for The Flash?
Yeah, that's a good story to go to. It's all in line with DC.
It's all the same thing. So yeah, so what we found out was that Michael Keaton is been living on 11 acres in England. He's been busy, and he told DC, he was like, hey, listen, I've just been busy. I got this other stuff going on. I'm producing this stuff. I've had conversations about it. I've got a script for The Flash. It's on my iPad, but I just haven't had fucking time to look at it. So I think that that's pretty interesting. And it sounds like he is very COVID averse. And I said 11 acres. It's actually 17 acres that he's hanging out on. So
he is Batman.
He is Batman. I'm very interested to see what happens going forward, because if it turns out that he's not in this movie, to be quite honest, Ezra Miller doesn't really do it for me as the Flash. So him by himself was not going to get me to watch this movie. It would have just been this podcast that would have gotten me to watch Ezra Miller as the Flash. But you stick Michael Keaton in it, and I got my nostalgia feels, and I will be there day one watching it. So
skinny Ben Affleck isn't exciting enough for you?
I mean, it would have been fine, but I don't think that they're going to do. Let's see. It depends on how they would have to pivot, and I wouldn't know until I saw the movie. Given that Ben Affleck doesn't have a feature in this universe, seemingly, no, it probably wouldn't have done it for me. I think the way that they've talked about positioning Keaton as kind of I don't want to say Nick Fury, but that's the term that was thrown around.
Yeah.
Given he can kind of be the almost the Batman Beyond.
I think that's the whole point of bringing him over still too, is eventually get to that.
So that aspect of it is another thing that would have made me more interested to see Ezra Miller's The Flash, to see how that would work out. But if that didn't happen and it wasn't him, no, I wouldn't be into it all. But Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, he is the main reason I'm excited for it. But I've outside of the podcast, again, the podcast I'll watch anything for. I only plan on watching DC movies that have Batman, Constantine, or Harley Quinn in them. That's just my new rule. It's actually been my rule before. The only reason what is it with you and your whole self-imposed rules? It's so weird. I'm not a DC fan. I'm a Batman and Constantine fan. The more I watch these, the more I'm convinced of that.
Why are you putting Nick in a box? Why is Nick in a box? You can't put Nick in a box. Nick wants to be free.
Same reason those are the only comics I'd ever read from DC.
See,
but I mean, you don't have to make a rule for yourself. It's weird that you.
I need an LRM meme of Nick in a box, Brad Pitt screaming "What's in the box?" and then Nick just jumps out.
It's me. I've been in my little box.
What's in the box? It's me, Nick Dahl.
No, but it's just like I'm like I get your point. It's like I normally like Batman comics, or I usually only like this, but why is this like I have a rule that I only watch them with these characters? It's so weird.
Well, it's not even a rule. It's just it's taste. Like, I mean, those are my tastes. Not saying I have better taste
I get it.
for it.
Like I said,
like,
you did call it a rule.
Like,
he's reacting to what you call
one rule.
Yeah, you call it a rule.
Well, you're gonna break your one rule.
That was really, really good.
Thanks.
I think it works better because I can't see you for some reason. And the perfect response. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I'm more reacting to you labeling it as rules. Like, obviously, like I said, like I usually like stuff with Batman, but like I made a rule and I can't break it. I have morals. No DC without Batman or Harley Quinn. Them's the rule.
Hey, listen, Jammer, a man's got to have a code. So
yeah.
Let's do it.
And I said Constantine, and I would say Joker, even though, God, no more new Jokers, please.
You say that until we get a really good Joker that you like, in which case you're like, I was wrong. Why make the
I've
rule
liked
if you
every
if you break
Joker
it?
so far, except for the Suicide Squad version. I haven't liked the Leto version in Justice League. It's just there's too many fucking Jokers. They're stuck on this one character. It's like
and
it's like
nemesis.
Yeah, but there's other fucking characters they've never done who are excellent.
Do you know why? Because
people only want the Joker.
Get past that. No, it's because we can't get past that point in their history. It's the same thing that we started with. It's come full circle. We always reboot these characters before we get to the interesting shit. Oddly enough, not true with the Michael Keaton / Tim Burton / Joel Schumacher era. Like, we burned through a bunch of villains, and now we just can't get past that point again, which I find absolutely fascinating, that those movies were complete shit, but we can't seem to get there again with quote unquote good movies.
Because even the Nolan films, like the Joker, not the Joker, the Scarecrow, the only new villain in that franchise.
Bane. Oh yeah, he's not.
Bane was used terribly, but he was used.
Yeah, he was in Batman and Robin.
But it's such a different Bane.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, and Ra's al Ghul. So the first film was the only one that had original.
So wait, we have Ra's al Ghul.
They hadn't used yet.
Did they have the gangster people in the other movies?
They didn't really deal with the gang in the other movies.
Falcone
I wouldn't consider him a super villain.
Victor Zsasz.
Yeah, but he's sitting in a jail. Like, that's like a cameo.
No, he was murdering people at the end of Batman Begins. He got out of jail.
Yeah, but he wasn't like a focus.
No, he was never a focus. He had like
why we're doing that.
5 set.
Bane was barely a focus in
30
Batman
seconds.
and Robin. See, now we got to have rules. Now we need Nick Dahl rules for what does it mean to be a new villain in a movie. Is it that you're just in the movie, or do you have? I think it's a focal point.
That's a good point. I would say if you're in the movie, it counts.
You gotta have
Victor Zsasz counts.
You gotta have dialogue.
You have to have dialogue.
That's how Tinkerer and those guys, like Spider-Man has a bunch of villains, and they count because they at least have dialogue. Though I wouldn't count. We haven't seen Scorpion. We've seen the guy become Scorpion.
So we do have Scorpion because we saw the guy who becomes Scorpion.
Yeah, but we've also we meet all kinds of people who become people later and across the Marvel and DC, but they never do because some of them are just Easter eggs you plug in.
So have we seen the leader in the MCU?
Yeah, because he already became the leader. His head got all mutated.
Yeah, but he did. Is that all it takes is a big head to become a leader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm arguing with this. Let's move on.
I just want new characters.
All right.
Or people who haven't been done great.
So, okay.
Wait,
so
before we move on to that point, if that's the argument, I haven't seen the good Bane yet.
You don't like? Oh yeah, okay, that's fair. So it now has to be good.
The character and the movie.
No, I
don't
love
like
Bane.
the movie.
As a character, no. As a character, I love Bane. But neither the one from Batman and Robin nor Dark Knight Rises were good versions of Bane.
But I would argue you would not get without The Dark Knight Rises, you would not get the best version of Bane to exist yet, which is the one from Harley Quinn.
Of course.
Yeah.
I am this credit card's reckoning.
No, Bane is basically the Steppenwolf of that series.
The writers promised they'd never kill him off. No matter how far the series goes, they're like, we'll never kill off Bane.
Hey, Bane, we got this chair for you.
I love him and Two-Face together.
Little bitch.
You know, two faces, my face and your face.
I became
two faces.
I became so scared at the end of, I think, season 2 for Bane.
When she was killing everyone else.
She was killing everyone else. I was like, oh no, not Bane. Please, not Bane. Don't do
Bane got his nice like little hole in the ground that Two-Face gives him.
Well, it actually bothered me that that we didn't see how he was until I think the very end of the season that he was alive. And I was just like, oh, thank God.
Well, remember they escape without killing him. Like they just leave the pit without killing him.
Well, I know that, but he fell, and I was like,
That's
did he
true,
die? I don't know.
Falling in comic book animated shows, every other one they like viciously murder in that season, and it's obvious they're dead.
Hey, it's Game of Thrones rules for Harley Quinn. No body. It's not dead.
Well, those are classic comic book rules. Bond rules.
Caffeine is my reckoning.
I'm gonna blow up that stadium.
I need to rewatch that show. It's so good.
The stadium lights. You're like, ah!
I love the part in the show when, what was it? It was he was gonna lend out, or he was gonna check out Harley Quinn's crew. He's like, but I already went through the human resource thing, or whatever the fuck he said. It was so funny.
When he has the goons.
I already filled out all the paperwork.
I still want to know what they did to Aquaman that Warner Brothers was like, no, you can't do this.
Oh, yeah. We've had that conversation.
You're going to have to specify what you're talking about for the audience who may or not know what you're talking about.
So sorry, audience.
That is so funny.
The show that Warner Brothers they told the show, like, no, you can't do this. I would love to know what that was.
Yeah. Who knows what it was? Maybe
just curious.
Really quick random.
All of this shit, like Harley Quinn made a vagina out of a flamethrower, like out of ice. But whatever they did with Aquaman was too far. That was a step too far.
He probably like fucked a dolphin or something really just over the top crude like that.
I just hope I wish they would bring back Ray Funches. Is that his name?
Yeah, from King Shark.
As into the Suicide Squad, like. Just the same voice, but no other connection to the TV show. Because, it's funny. Because I remember Jonesy making a statement about how funny it is, like, hearing that voice come out of his mouth, and I didn't get it. And I saw Ray Funches for the first time, like, on a TV show, like, last week, and I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Yep.
Because I'd never seen him before. I'm like, oh.
Anyways, are we good? We moving on?
Jammer's not interested.
To the next thing.
Sorry, Jammer. Sorry, we're bringing it down. We're good.
Okay. All right. So apparently Derek Kolstad, who has been so busy in the world of Marvel, apparently has been silently just pushed away, pushed off the John Wick series, away from John Wick 4, away from John Wick 5. So the question I have for you, Jonesy, how do you feel about the lifeblood of John Wick getting enemaed out of the franchise?
This town needs an Emina.
I think
Phenomena. Sorry.
And movies deep. I feel like this series has kind of taken on a life of its own. And he admittedly shared writing credit with quite a few people in this last film. And I think there are enough people in this brain trust that can keep the series going. It's disappointing because you never know what the original guy had in store, right? There might have been something else going on in his head that could have been great. It's disappointing also that it sounds like it wasn't his choice, that he was just seemingly pushed out. And I think that that's probably the most disappointing aspect of it. And the last thing for me is, as long as they have, it's weird for me because I just for this franchise, And the fact that they still have the director of the first 3 movies on board for the 4th gives me hope. It might mean that the lore isn't as deep or anything like that, but I'm still expecting a good movie.
So is this? I've never heard his name before, and I missed
Derek
the
Kolstad.
story. He's the writer of all of them / creator. But he's not a director.
Correct.
Okay, so he's written all 3. He's probably worked on the Continental, which I think is already in development, isn't it? And
Yeah,
he
so-
probably
That thing's
on
been in
Mr.
development
Nobody.
for 7 years. So yeah.
He solo wrote the first 2, and then the 3rd one, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 other people that had a writing credit with him.
since he built do we know, is he the writer of Mr. Nobody too, or a co-writer since he kind of created the universe?
That I don't know.
Okay. Because I guess I don't have a strong enough opinion about it because I haven't seen the 3rd movie. Like, does it go anywhere? I'm just, because when I think of the first 2, I just think of, I don't even remember the plots except for he's wanted by everyone in the 2nd movie. It's just
Well, the first one is the dog.
Yeah.
The second one is everyone's trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
What is the 3rd one? The 3rd
Isn't
one
everyone's
is...
continuing trying to kill him? And then Halle Berry shows up with another dog?
But what? I don't remember what precipitated all the killing in the 3rd one.
No, I thought it was after the end of the 2nd one. Remember, he's still, by the end of the 2nd one, he's wanted by everyone. There's
Right. I'm sorry.
Assassin after him in the 2nd
So
one.
the 3rd one is everyone's trying him. The 2nd one is
He breaks the rule in the 2nd one.
Yeah, he breaks the rule in the 2nd one. That's what precipitates all the killing in the 3rd one. Man,
And the
I need
4th
to watch all these this weekend.
Does it set up the 4th one as being like, I assume he doesn't kill all the assassins in the 3rd one.
He kills pretty much, well, not all the ones in the world, no, but he kills pretty much everybody at the end of this one. And then he, I don't want to ruin it. Are you gonna watch it?
No.
Don't ruin it.
Okay.
Don't ruin it.
Okay, don't ruin it. I do want to watch Mr. Nobody, and I hope that eventually they do Bob Odenkirk versus John Wick.
So are they connected?
Bob,
do these take place in the same universe?
Yeah, he's a retired guy
Okay.
from he's one of the people who was actually retired, much older than. Well, actually, he's probably the same age as Keanu Reeves.
I was gonna say,
He
isn't
just looks
Keanu Reeves
older.
retired?
Because he's always been
He's
balding.
City Miles, baby.
Yeah. Well, he is a comedian's body. Like, he was going bald back in the 20s with his buddy. God, what's his face?
they were going bald together.
Yeah. David Cross, they were going bald together back when they were doing their very first sketch show, Mystery Show.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So it's not like
I like how you mentioned
he looks older
this
than Keanu Reeves.
idea
He isn't.
of someone going bald with somebody together. So like,
Yeah, it's
I never thought
it's
I'd
like
be
sinking.
going
They
out
live in the
side by
same
side
house.
with a man. How about side
Yeah,
by
they live
side
in the same
with a
house.
friend?
Their periods.
Aye.
They line up.
Yes.
Same thing.
Baldness lines up.
Yeah, it's like their menstruation cycle. Same difference.
So I shouldn't live
Same
with
deal.
anyone who's balding.
You know, it's really
Right.
funny when you mentioned Bob Odenkirk at fast. My mind went to oh my god, what is his name? Bob Odenkirk, not Odenkirk.
Oh, that
The guy who did Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
Oh,
You know what's funny? For the longest time, I thought they were the.
See, it's not just me.
I just love Bob
Oh.
Odenkirk too much, even before.
Looks like we lost
Yeah.
Jonesy here. But I'm gonna look up Kung Pao because I don't remember his name. My sister actually interned at his company. I think it was Big O Entertainment. Steve Odenkirk.
Wow, it is
That
close.
was it. Yeah, as opposed to Bob Odenkirk. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next story of the day. It's kind of John Wick tangential, John Wick related, and hopefully by the time I get to the end of explaining what this story is, Jonesy will be back. So, there is some news regarding PlayStation's new studio, and it has to do with Ghost of Tsushima, which is a PlayStation 4 game that was released, I want to say last year, definitely was last year.
Mhm.
And it's based
Last year.
in Japan. And it is, it's a very hyper realistic, really cool looking game. I actually haven't played it, but they have a director in the form of Chad Stahelski, who is known for his work as the director of the John Wick movies, all 3 of them up to this point. So at first, I know Nick was not super excited about this news or wasn't really thinking much about this news because he never played the game. But for me, I'm actually a little surprised at this news simply because we're at an age where I feel like efforts are being made to increase the diversity behind the camera and to get a property like Ghosts of Tsushima, which is Japanese, and to give it to Chad Stahelski, it just seems a little tone deaf to me.
You guys hear me?
Jonesy, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know that I think it's tone deaf, mostly because of, well, I 100% understand what you're saying. And would it be nice if the studio made that leap and did that? Yes. But the funny thing about that is Japanese studios are actually lauding the game itself. So the game was developed by Sucker Punch Studios, which is responsible for Uncharted, which is the other Sony video game franchise that's making a leap to the big screen. And so there are Japanese video game producers, specifically the creator of the Yakuza games, was saying like, this game is so good, it basically should have been made by Japan. And so from that perspective, I think that it's very interesting that even the game itself, made by an American studio, is being held up by Japanese video game creators as saying that you guys really got the culture absolutely right. And so that's
really quick, I want to add a correction. Sucker Punch Studios did not do Uncharted. They did Infamous.
No. Ghost of Tsushima.
I know they didn't. Sucker Punch Studios didn't. You said they did Uncharted. They did not do Uncharted.
No. Uncharted is the other Sony game that's coming to the big screen. Did I?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I thought I heard what Jammer heard too, but we're
good.
Sorry.
Okay. If I screwed up what I said, what I meant was, so the other video game franchise coming to the big screen is Uncharted.
And that was, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's interesting to me that they are super into this game that came out. So it's interesting again that it was developed by an American studio. So we'll see.
And that was going to be my question, because I thought I'd heard that too, that it wasn't even it wasn't made by a Japanese gaming studio, even though Sony's obviously a Japanese company.
No.
So does that, but I don't, now is going to be my question. Does that make it any better? Probably not. Having a white director on it, if it's a franchise made by white people to begin with.
I mean, it's the thing is, if it's once again, just because it's made by American doesn't mean it's made by white people. I want to throw that out there, but it probably was. True, I have no idea about the
I'm assuming all
makeup,
the leads on it were, yeah.
But my point is that this is, even if it wasn't created by people of color, this is an opportunity to give someone a potential to direct a big budget property having to do with, Japanese culture. So it's like, I don't know if it justifies it personally.
That's the question. I don't think it does either, but
yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Jonesy? Sounds like you're not really as hard on this as I am.
I just think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting way to look at it. I do think that, so the thing that kind of sucks about the way that some of these properties out of Japan are developed is this way. Have their own film studios and their own games and stuff like that. They are less concerned about that than we are. And I learned a lot of that when it came to Ghost in the Shell. So,
but yeah, of course, they're not concerned about it because they live in a homogenistic society.
Right.
Like, they're just happy to see their shit make it over to Hollywood. They don't care about.
I don't even think they don't care.
They don't care. So like, I don't know if them not caring.
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, them not caring to me shouldn't really affect how we feel about the things that are produced in our country, because our racial makeup is so different compared to them. Like, it's a completely different culture. It's just like, we should not be listening to them in terms of what is right or not in terms of what to do with the products in our country.
I agree with you. I do think that it would be better. It would be nicer. But the fact that they don't feel aggrieved by it is one of the reasons why why it doesn't bother me as much.
No, I see your point.
Certainly there's somebody there's somebody that might be. But
yeah, I'm sure there is. But I mean, I see your point, but there are just so many times in like the past 10 to 15 years where it's like, oh, we don't care. It's like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, well, yeah, like I've heard that tune enough. It doesn't change the fact that it means a lot to people here in this country, to, people of Asian descent in this country, that there's like virtually no representation in Hollywood. And even the opportunities where there could be, they're not given. It's just, I can imagine it being frustrating.
Now, would you... Maybe we're getting too far into it.
I don't disagree with that at all, because I'm willing to bet part of the argument is we need a good action director, right? But that's where a lot of American directors got their inspiration from, right? Folks like John Woo and other people like him.
Yeah, like they could find somebody from Japan, or they can find, I'm sure, an up-and-coming director and then maybe just get Chad Stahelski to be maybe co-direct with them, so that he can handle, like, help him with a lot of the logistics, and they can get another perspective.
Now is going to be my question to you, Jammer. Are you just saying it should be an Asian American, or should you want it should be
preferably
Japanese?
Japanese would be great. Yeah, Japanese would be preferable, highly preferable.
Yeah, exactly. I was just asking because we've just been saying Asian.
Yeah, I think I'm just saying
you
Asian.
Want a Japanese director for a Japanese film.
It would be ideal.
Well, not Japanese film, but Japanese story.
Yeah.
Don't disagree at all, especially because we need way more representation. Still obvious even with this year's Academy Award nominations.
Oh, I haven't even looked at them. How are they looking?
I think the first ever Asian American got nominated for a Best Picture as far as directing. I think. I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention.
Was it Alan Liu? What the heck's his name?
Oh, for that one film that keeps winning awards? Probably. The one I could never ever pronounce.
No. He was one of the co-creators of Master of None.
He's also played him. Didn't he also act on Master of None? As kind of himself?
I don't think so. Who is that guy? It was created by... Oh my God, it's so obnoxious that I look up Master of None and he doesn't even pop up as like one of the things. I have to click extra buttons in order to get to whoever. Alan Yang.
I don't remember. They're making a big deal out of it, and I was like, cool. I don't watch the Academy Awards.
Right. Any other thoughts?
No, the only other thought is that, again, we've talked about the video game curse before, and if it's been fully overcome, and here's another movie that would seem to lend itself well to a movie, but it feels like the trickiest medium to adapt into a movie. Even Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard was based on a newspaper article.
That's funny.
It was based on an article about cyber terrorism, like a magazine article.
Actually,
really quick, the director is Lee Isaac Chung for Minari.
That's the name of the movie I was thinking of. That keeps winning awards. At least the kid keeps winning awards. At Golden Globes, talking about, BAFTA.
Is that the one with Stephen Yeun?
I think so. Yes, it is. But the kid who keeps winning awards is like a little kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one with Stephen Yeun from Walking Dead, and I Think You Should Leave because he used too small of a square of toilet paper.
I don't know what that means.
I was hoping Jonesy would.
But unfortunately, Jonesy is in internet hell right now.
Apparently.
So let's move on to our favorite segment, bird watching with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Snowbird watching. Sorry, snowbird watching. And so I can't bird watch fully with episode 2 because I haven't seen it, but I didn't get to speak last week in terms of episode 1.
And we can all discuss spoilers now. You want to do spoiler talk?
Episode 1. Sure, for episode 1.
So spoilers, episode 1. Because Jonesy, I had to avoid spoilers last week too. So yeah, let's start with you though, Jammer, since you hadn't seen it.
Yeah, it was better than I thought it was going to be. As I mentioned before, I was one of the only ones, or I definitely kind of had my hesitations for the trailer. Like it seemed good, but it also seemed like it could be a bit shallow and flat. But I was very pleased that, first of all, the action set pieces I thought were really fun and really well done. And I also love that we did have those character moments that I was worried we wouldn't get, like those where we get to dig deeper into what these guys' lives are like, seeing Falcon go back to his home to try to have to save the boat. And as Jonesy hinted at, understanding that him being Falcon is not a panacea for, financial woes. And then there's part to me that struck so real was when it's like, you have no income for the past 5 years. It's like, no shit, Sherlock, he was gone for the past 5 years. Like, but it's totally something that would happen where it's just like, you can't get a loan because you've been gone for 5 years. It's stupid, but it's realistic in its stupidity. And I just, that part of me died inside. And then I like seeing that flashback with the Winter Soldier himself, and then kind of how it connects to the current story where he's kind of making amends. And I guess he killed the son of some guy he befriended, and it's about him, I guess, finding a way to make amends, or having to live with the fact that he's committed so many atrocities, and there really is no good way for him to make amends for that. For these innocent people that he's killed. So it's just it's dark, it's broody, but it's so based in character and just so kind of beautiful. And I'm interested to see how it goes. I don't know how it'll turn out, but it's pretty solid. I had a good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it. What'd you think of the end? Remember we talked last week. I thought it was like the perfect place to end it because you had problems.
It's funny. My Kirsten was just like, I wonder how they pitched him. It's like, how would you like to be the most hated person on the internet? He's like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
He's had quotes about that where it's like, he'd rather, at least people are talking. I don't know. He had some quote where he's like, yeah, it's actually kind of cool to be the most hated person on the internet because at least it means people are talking about me and my character.
Is he this TV generation's Joffrey? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Because I haven't seen the second episode. I don't know how his personality is. I don't know if he's going to end up being like an okay guy who's just put in a crappy situation, or if he's going to go full villain. Who knows?
That wink kills me though.
The what?
The improvised wink at the end. Oh my god, it's so funny. You're still angry as fuck, like Falcon, when he just winks straight into the camera, which he can do because it's like a news camera. You're like, oh man.
Also a very real thing where it's like he does the right thing and he turns in the shield, and they fucking turn around and just give it to some fucking white guy. It is so frustrating. Like, it feels so real. And I just, I'm feeling all kinds of things.
What's funny about that? I'm curious how much time passed between him giving it to the Smithsonian and like, it feels like it had to have been a one-day turnaround because they have shots of him practicing with the shield.
Yeah. Like, it has to have been fast, which is another FU.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like he hands it to the Smithsonian.
Yeah, it's the same dude. Same white dude takes it.
White Russell.
What did you think of, I mean, I guess you already talked about it. You loved it. Nick, you loved the episode. And what was your favorite part? Spoilery.
Ooh. It's tough. I don't know, the action sequence is so cool. But I don't know. I like the Bucky stuff a lot. Like the idea of the list. It's like the opposite of Cap's list.
It's like the opposite of Kill Bill list. It's like the list from it's the list from My Name is Earl.
Yeah, it is. It's like any alcoholics list. Like that's the whole point.
Is that a thing alcoholics do? I don't know.
Yeah, you have to forgive everyone is one of the steps. So you have a list of people you've wronged, and you go around. Like that's what My Name is Earl is kind of based on.
Oh, I didn't know that. There you go.
I'm not a drunk. I'm not a recovering alcoholic. I am a drunk. I'm not a recovering alcoholic. That's not why I know about it. But I find Bucky's storyline fascinating and sad. I like that. I don't know. Yeah, the thing. I don't know. It's funny looking at the list too, because Zemos are on the list. When you're watching episode
Is
1,
he?
you're like, oh, yeah. H. Zemo is on the list as someone he wronged.
How?
You're like, didn't you get wronged by H. Zemo?
How did he wrong Zemo?
I don't know. It's on the list if you freeze frame it. I did freeze frame it,
Interesting.
but, I watched some of those Easter egg videos.
Jonesy,
Yo,
how did he wrong Zemo? What are your theories?
I don't know. I'm racking my brain. I have no idea. So we're saying that the list that he has, he wronged, that he's trying to fix.
Yeah, well, mostly, like just apologize. And in the case of the old man, he can give him closure because he just wants to know what happened to his son.
Okay. Yeah, I can't think of anything that he did to Zemo, and maybe that's a part of the mystery for the show. So,
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a lot more to say about episode 1 since we watched it last week, and I did
Yeah.
Marvel Multiverse Mondays. They are episode 1 is planting what could be a Mephisto.
Oh my God. Get out of
on
here.
the show, but it's planted in the 2 places. The end credits actually say the name Power Broker. It says like the Power Broker is watching. The end credits say, and in the comics, I don't think this will happen in the show. In the comics, the Power Broker does experiments with people and actually turns Torres into the next Falcon, but he's literally like a mutant. Like he has Falcon wings, like real Falcon wings. But I don't think that'll happen. But the Power Broker's name is definitely in the post credits.
oh really? Okay.
Like there's lots of Easter eggs in the post credits. There's like a vial of what looks like superhero serum in the post credits. Like teases, it's like yeah, it's almost a spoiler if you know what you're watching, because my friend Andrew didn't know Zemo was going to be in the series, and then in the post credits, in the credit sequence, it's like, oh, there's a picture of Zemo
Yeah.
who hasn't actually been introduced yet.
Well, we only have a few minutes left before I have to head out, or 15. So tell me, in 10 minutes or less, have a discussion. How is episode 2? Does it continue the positive train that the first one started? Does it start to falter? Let's start with Jonesy. What were your thoughts on episode 2? Spoiler free. Let's start with Nick. Episode 2, spoiler free. What were your thoughts on episode 2?
I loved it. I thought it was a great continuation of the first. We're getting into some of the meaty stuff that we've already kind of talked about. Like, we'll see more U.S. agent. Just being called Captain America right now. Not really. Yeah, Bucky and Falcon finally meet, and I think you, Jammer, will be happy about how they handle why they don't like each other. There's one line in particular, because the therapist scene happens in this episode. And one character says something that's so personal and telling as to why he has trouble with the other person that you're like, damn, you just explained it in a sentence better than I've seen a buddy cop movie explain tension, because it's more of a psychological thing. And second
Here's
episode,
a question.
Yeah.
Who says it? Who says the thing?
Bucky says it to Falcon.
So does he say how he doesn't like the fact that he turned around and gave up the shield?
That's an issue.
Yeah, but that's only an
not the
aspect
reason.
of it.
Yeah, it's much deeper than that.
Okay, just curious.
And
I was wondering
the
if I nailed
episode
it. I did not.
Really dips much farther into racism in a very overt, like in the first episode, it's gonna be hard to do Marvel Multiverse Mondays with Kyle because he doesn't like to see racism where there is racism. But this episode, the first episode, the bank, you could argue that's most people are being treated that way, but obviously it is a black neighborhood and social class does lead to racism. But second episode is very much like what black people are dealing with almost on a daily basis. And I will say the opening is one of my favorite parts. The episode's called Star Spangled Man. And it opens with, the football scene where he's running out and giving the high fives and stuff. And there's a marching band playing the original theme from the 1940s. That was
nice.
when he was doing the USO tours. So it's fun seeing it all. It's the connected world. And there's a lot in there that I just won't say anything about because the second episode adds a lot as far as world building of Cap's history and where we're at. That the first episode was more about just re-showing us those characters.
What about you, Jonesy? How did you like this episode?
Everything Nick said, I really enjoyed it. I'm surprised that they're able to keep up the pacing from the last one. It seems like they're able to do something very similar where it's like, hey, we've got these psychological scenes where we're able to delve into these character moments and show you what they're about, but then we have these big action set pieces for the episode. And it really does, at least for right now, feel like they've just split a movie into just multiple parts, but they beefed up the individual episodes to not make it seem that way. I know that sounds contradictory, but if you see it, it kind of makes sense. I agree with Nick about the, what I think is funny about the bank scene as compared to the scene you get in this movie is you do have people that will look at the first scene in the bank and go like, well, that isn't necessarily racism. And it's like, no, that makes you part of the problem, right? Like the fact that you can't see this for what it is,
agreed,
that makes you part of the problem. And so now we've got to go even more overt to hit you over the fucking head because you're a moron. I'm not necessarily talking about Kyle. I just mean generally.
And same with like, he didn't find the handing over the shield that racist either. And I was like, They had the black guy
I don't know that I
in.
thought that it was racist. You're talking about them giving it to Wyatt Russell?
Yeah, at the end of the last episode. Well, like just the idea of taking it from a black soldier, giving it. I mean, obviously they don't trust Falcon as much because he's been on the shit list for a while.
So that I don't know if I thought that was racist, so much racist. That's weird. I don't know if I
mean, I think it's kind of, in the sense that it seems very typical where it's like the hardworking person of color kind of gets screwed over, and then they give it to an underachieving white guy because it's.
He's not, choice. But so that's the problem. He's not an underachieving white guy.
Okay, so well that's good.
I'll spoil this. Yeah, I will spoil this a little bit. So in that opening scene when they do the football thing, because I love this, it's Disney product placement. So he's being interviewed by Good Morning America, so an ABC property, and he is the only person to have ever won the Medal of Honor 3 times. He is a Ranger. He's all of this stuff. He's scored off the charts, at least physically. As far as someone who is not enhanced as of now. So as far as a person goes, based on his resume, he just seems like the best that there is right now. And so that's why I don't know that I think that it's racist. The only reason you would think that is just because of who Sam is. Like if it had been Bucky and they'd given it to this dude, you wouldn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
But the way that they positioned this new guy, he really is the best of the best of the best with honors.
Really quick, I did not know Wyatt Russell, who he was.
Yes.
And I just realized
Kurt Russell's son.
I did not realize that he was Kurt Russell's son. And for me,
that's why I keep saying his name.
He's literally just that guy from 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, that's who he is to me too. He's so good in that movie, though. Meat cute sandwich.
Yeah, meat cute. You know, that's funny. This is literally like my wife and I last week we were a bad week, and we bought the freaking 22 Jump Street digital pack. We're like, how do we not own these movies?
I watch those movies endlessly.
We rewatched them like twice over the course of 24 hours each. And they're just so good. They're so good. I keep forgetting
he's so good with Channing Tatum in that movie.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's a meat cute.
It's a meat cute. I was like, that's the most disgusting sandwich ever. Just like his freaking dirty Q-tips falling into a meat sandwich.
You got your Q-tip on my meat. You got my meat on your Q-tip.
So yeah.
Hey, it's a meat cute.
As far as this episode, though, they did do what Nick talked about, at least in my opinion. There was some really good world building and really good callbacks, right? Again, Bucky's time in Wakanda, and there was like a 2-line joke that made me laugh pretty hard. So
I laughed at that too.
I think you're gonna enjoy it. Yeah, that was a good line. So yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's gonna continue to be. I'm hoping that if it maintains this, not only will I think it's good, I will be incredibly impressed.
And let me, as I bring up often, speak for my parents for a second. They skipped WandaVision. My dad doesn't like the superhero smashy. when it ended after 40 minutes, he was like, "What's going on?" And my mom's like, "It's a TV series." And my dad's like, "Oh crap, I forgot it was a TV series." That speaks, I think, to the visual quality of it. And they also tried an episode of WandaVision, and my mom hated it because she's like, you guys were right. She's like, I don't want to see Dick Van Dyke and Bewitched and that stuff again. I'm like, just keep watching it until you get to like episode 4.
And she liked it after that?
No, they've only watched one episode of each so far.
Oh, okay.
They only tried WandaVision because, you know, that's the thing Disney pushes right after you watch. If you sit through the credits, it's no longer Age of Ultron, and it's not Civil War at the end. It's like, watch WandaVision, since they have another Marvel TV show. Unless
you watch WandaVision, in which case they move you on to Age of Ultron for obvious reasons. But maybe now Falcon and the Winter Soldier, for all I know. Okay. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about, or should we wrap up for this episode of BGRTP?
I would say we should do Who Watches, but since you are having to go soon and you are our host this week.
Yeah, I'm going to have to close out.
Might as well close. Cut the check.
Lovely, lovely Nicholas Dullius. Where can people find you on the line?
I'm at Nicholas Dolly. No, I'm kidding. I'm at Geeky Nick Doll on Twitter. I do this show and Marvel Multiverse Mondays, and I write stories for LRM Online.
And Jonesy, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at Sir Jonesius, and you can also find me infrequently on Discord. Get on there before Microsoft buys it and
I saw that.
Terrible with it. $10 billion with a B. $10 billion.
Well, they bought Skype, and now Zoom is beating Skype.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, there's gonna be a pandemic in another 10 years, and then freaking what Discord does, some other company's gonna do the same exact thing, and it's gonna be the bigger name, and they're gonna have failed again. It's exactly.
You have too much faith. 10 years.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm hoping there's not gonna be a pandemic before that. That's what I'm hoping.
There will be.
Oh God. Anyway.
And Jammer, where can you be found?
On Twitter at JamTheWriter. You can also find all of my novels under the name AJ Cerna on Audible and Amazon. Thank you so much, dear, kind, sweet, and sexy listener, for being with us today, and we will talk to you all next week, where we discuss insert title here. Until then, adios, hasta lasagna.
Belkiniania.
Mission accomplished.
I think we pulled it off in the end.
Yeah.
It's not our best episode.
Pause for dramatic effect.